Campaign 2020 is sponsored by Wisconsin Hospital Association, Quick Trip, Wisconsin Counties Association, Wisconsin Realtors Association, and Wisconsin Operating Engineers Local 139.
Scott Soik of Stevens Point is a Republican candidate in the 71st Assembly District. Scott, welcome to WisconsinEye.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, from your Facebook post, your campaign Facebook post, you say that one of your big issues is how small businesses like you and your wife operate need more help during the pandemic. So what additional state aid do you think small businesses across Wisconsin need? Please.
All right. Well, first off, we could use some good internet. As we've been sitting here this morning trying to get online with each other, you can see some of the frustrations that we face as small business owners. Now imagine this internet connection and trying to be a young child doing schoolwork. And I know it kind of pivoted off that small business question, but this is important, and I don't care who dropped the ball on the high-speed internet for Wisconsinites. We're 20 years into the 21st century. It's time that we start upgrading our infrastructure throughout the state and throughout our rural communities, and especially in times like this, like we're experiencing now. But as far as our small businesses, we just want to work. We want to work. Some of the small businesses that we talk with here in Portage County, they want to be open. They want to work. They understand personal accountability and responsibility, and for each individual to make that choice for themselves is respectable and it's honorable. And we just want the people to have that ability to do that. We want our doors open. We want, we want to be able to work. We want to have the opportunity to take care of ourselves.
Well, where are you on the two executive orders issued by the governor? Number one, face mask. Number two, the 25% occupancy limit. Yep. What's your position on both of those, please?
So on the face mask, prior to the governor's order, we were looking at a face mask ordinance here in Portage County. And we all know all the information that we've been hearing since February, March. We all know the misinformation. We all know how the information has changed. And I have said as a county board member that I cannot decipher through all of this information to tell you what is best for you. And again, it comes down to the personal accountability and personal responsibility. Whatever you decide is best for you and your family, I can get on board with. And with that statement, I've been called a right-wing radical and extremist. And again, all I want is for you to be able to make the best decision. I can't tell you with, like I said, all the information, the misinformation, the changing information. I can't tell you what's best for you as a whole. You have to make that decision. And it's surprising the kind of lashing out that I get from some people for that statement. I don't think it's radical. I don't think it's extreme. I think it's what we all need to be doing, taking care of ourselves and our family.
Okay, so you don't support the governor. You don't support the governor's executive orders, which are in effect statewide. Then, correct?
Correct. I support the individual to make the best decision for themselves and their family. And if you choose to stay home and you choose to wear a mask and you choose to do these things, I commend you. I would never say you were wrong for doing so. But again, it is all about choices, and we have to be accountable for our choices, not to pass the blame to somebody else.
What about the bill that's just been introduced that says if a business, a charity, a nonprofit, even a hospital, if they follow COVID protocols, they couldn't be sued over COVID. If you're in the legislature, is that a bill you would vote for?
I would look at it. I would do my research, and I would study, and I would ask the boots on the ground. I would go throughout our community and talk to the people that this affects before I would make a decision if I was going to support it or if I wasn't. Now, we all know here in Wisconsin, we have a law on the books where if you're recreating on somebody's property and you get injured, you can't sue that person for recreating on their property. That's how we're able to have these snowmobile trails and ATV trails and so on. And I think that's a good thing. I think we really need to take a look at it and like I said, talk to the boots on the ground and find out what's going to be best for our community.
Do you think hospitals, which are playing such a frontline role in treating COVID-19 patients, should they be an even greater priority if you're in the legislature voting on the next state budget?
Oh, absolutely. Our hospitals should be a priority. Let's face it, none of us want to end up in the hospital. And we're all going to take a visit to the hospital at one point in time or another. And I believe we should have the best care that we can possibly get when we end up having to go. So absolutely, the hospitals should be a priority.
If the pandemic means that the state government didn't collect, I'll make up a number, $1 billion in tax collections, how would you, as a member of the assembly, make up that shortfall if it's as much as $1 billion?
Well, we have to take care of our house, okay? And it doesn't matter how big that house is. We're responsible for taking care of it. And if it means we have to do some cuts, then that's what it means, that we have to do some cuts. Again, we're all responsible for ourselves, for our homes, for our family. And when we have shortfalls in our homes, our families, and our business, sometimes we have to make cuts. It's hard. It's a tough thing to do. Nobody wants to do it, but at times it's necessary. We just can't print money out of thin air.
The whole debate over policing reform that we've watched over the last 6 months, the governor's got 6 bills. Republican Senator Van Wangard's got 7 or 8 bills. The speaker just announced members of a task force. Is there any change in policing that you would like to see enacted into law?
What I would like to see is, okay, so I prefaced, I'm a county board member.
Yes.
I sit on the Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee. And a couple months ago, I asked our sheriff. Now, the chair of that committee is a longtime officer and used to be the sheriff in Portage County as well. And I asked them, I said, what, if ever, or which state representative, if ever, has ever contacted you in times like this or any other time to understand what's going on? Their answer was 1. The current sheriff said he's been contacted by 1 legislator since he's been sheriff. The previous sheriff in all of his years of law enforcement said 0. He's never been contacted. So what we need to do is we have to have a dialogue again with these people on the ground, with the boots on the ground. We have to go to our community and say, what is required here? Does this work? Because if you did that, you would find out that here in Portage County, we have outlawed, chokeholds for the last 30 years. If you really dive into the protocols that our officers use, you will find that it is, it's ahead of its time. I mean, our officers, our sheriff's deputies here are really spot on with their jobs. And we need to look at that. We need to ask these guys on the ground, what will help you? What will work for you?
Okay. As states around Wisconsin legalize medical and recreational marijuana, what is your position, Scott?
My position is we need to take a look at this. And if we're only to look at this for fixing budget shortfalls, that's the wrong way to look at it. You know, we can't always look to have somebody else fix our problems. And I know there's been a lot of talk about, well, this will fix budget shortfalls. Again, like we talked about earlier, sometimes we have to make cuts. We can't always have somebody else fix our problems. We have to do the hard work. I think again, with our law enforcement, we need to talk to them. We need to talk to our district attorneys. Where are we at? You know, what is the capacity of our jail? What is the population of some of these types of crimes that are crimes now that are nonviolent, are sitting and taking up space? So I am more than willing to look at it. I am more than willing to look at decriminalizing it. I can tell you right now, I'm without having all the research and doing the groundwork that is needed, I don't know if I can get on board right now with legalizing it.
Okay, understand. We're a high property tax state, Scott. That's why for more than 20 years, local governments like you serve on and school boards have lived with caps on property taxes and limits. Should those limits, of course, Governor Walker argued, held down property taxes on homes. In the next state budget, should those caps and limits on property taxes be continued?
Well, we need to take a look at it. We have to find a way where we're not taxing our elderly, our parents, our grandparents out of their homes. And that's what's happening. When you look around the state, we are taxing these people out of their homes. We can't be doing that. We got to figure out how we can keep people in their homes, how we can generate revenue and still live within our means. I would like to see when you purchase a home, you start paying tax on that purchase price. And every year, whatever the number is, we look at assigning a percentage that goes up. You know, when we have these revals every 10 years and some of our properties take a hike of 30%, that's a hard pill for people to swallow. We need to look at figuring out how to restructure this and how, you know, we just can't say, well, your township is worth X amount of dollars, go out and find those dollars. And that's what's happening right now in our rural townships. Are every 10 years you have to come in compliance, and we need to look at that. We have to reform that somehow, some way.
Do you think cities, towns, and villages need alternative sources of revenue so they're not so reliant on the property tax? Maybe let them, if voters pass a referendum, levy a 50-cent sales tax?
Well, you know, and I've been wondering about this question, and I'm going to have to sit back and do some research, because at some point in time, we were able to put a 0.5% on. Here in Portage County, we have a 5.5% sales tax. So yeah, we need to look at it. But when you talk about being creative, it has to be creative. It can't just be, oh, our creativity is to add a % sales tax. That's not creative. That's just whipping it out with a pen and saying this is what we're going to do. So if you really want to get creative, then let's really get creative. You know, I did 4 years in the Marine Corps, and anybody that knows anything about the Marine Corps knows that according to the defense budget, we get squat. You want to talk about a group of people that can get creative and stretch a nickel, it's the United States Marine Corps. So let's get creative with that and find ways without just pen whipping in a 0.5% or a percent sales tax.
The governor last year recommended raising our gas tax to stabilize how we pay for highways and bridges. Would you consider raising our gas tax? It hasn't been raised in 10 or 12 years.
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think I could consider that. What I could tell you is back to the creativity. Let's look at some of our other states. Let's look at Oklahoma. You drive down Oklahoma, you cross the state line, it says you're on a toll road. You drive for 40 miles, you never see a toll booth. And all of a sudden, at the 40-mile mark, there's a toll booth. And you pay that toll, and you roll in another 40 miles into Tulsa. And it's just one toll booth on that 80-mile stretch of road. What that does is it gives the people within 40 miles of Tulsa the ability to travel without paying a toll. And once you travel outside that home area, you pay a toll, or anybody coming into that home area pays a toll. To me, when I seen that a few years back, I was impressed. I'm like, now this is something that we should look at. This is something that we should research. I'm not saying we got to put a toll booth every 10 miles coming in from Illinois or Minnesota, but let's get creative. Let's look at stuff like this. Creativity is just that, and I think we can figure something out. Raising the gas tax, I mean, it's horrible. It's horrible for young people. It's horrible for families that are struggling at times when you got to pay $3 plus a gallon for gas. It's tough. It's tough, and to continue to add that into a family's budget, boy, we would really have to have a good reason on why we're doing it.
Drawing on your experience as a county board member, if local governments or school districts plan a major public works project, should they have to give a preference to Wisconsin businesses?
I heard my opponent answer this question, and she brought up a local company here, Skyward. And back in 2012, the state, DPI, at the time, the head of DPI, was wanting to eliminate choice, free market here in the state for that software company. And our local company didn't want preferential treatment. They wanted a fair market. They wanted the best product to win out. And thankfully, our community came together and our state came together, and we were able to make that happen, where the best product won out. We didn't want the whole contract for the state. We just wanted the fair market to work. And I think we need to look at that. Sometimes here on a township level, when we have bids coming in and we've have prior work experience with some of these contractors, we don't always take the lowest bid. We take the best quality product. And I don't know if that answered your question or not, but that's what I believe.
Yes, thank you. And my last question is this. You mentioned the incumbent that you're up against on November 3. You want to highlight some other differences with her?
I'm not really looking to highlight her record. I'm looking to tell the people that I'm willing and ready to work for them. I am willing and ready to take a common sense approach and listen to the people that walk in that door, and really find out what our community needs and how we can best help everyone. So that's where I'm at. My door is open, my phone is on. Give me a call, stop by. Let's have the conversation. Let's all get together on the same page and truly make our community better.
Thank you. Scott Soik of Stevens Point is a Republican candidate in the 71st Assembly District. The election is November 3. Scott, thank you for talking to WisconsinEye, and I'm glad our internet connection held up.
Absolutely. So am I. I was so worried when we started. This is something we really need to take a look at. I want to hit on that one more time. We really need to look at high-speed internet throughout the state. So Thank you very much for having me. Greatly appreciate it. Look forward to working with you guys in the future.
Thank you. Take care.
Campaign 2020 is sponsored by Wisconsin Hospital Association, Quick Trip, Wisconsin Counties Association, Wisconsin Realtors Association, and Wisconsin Operating Engineers Local 139.